All right, we are back. Thanks for staying with us. Planet Green Issues, episode 159, Blue Water. I see we have some our callers, our guests are waiting for. We're going to get right to you. But before we do, I want to take it over to Rick Thompson, who's going to give us the news. Rick, take it away.
Hey, everybody. This is the news, and it is August 1st. Can you believe it's August 1st? Oh, my God. August 1st, 2013. A lot of interesting things happened this week. We already talked about Blue Water. We'll be getting in more in depth with that. Lawmakers in the country of Uruguay voted to legalize marijuana. Little known fact, Uruguay is the only nation in the world with 3 U's in the name. I just made that up. Uruguay's lower house approved a sweeping bill to legalize marijuana, opening the way for authorities to create one of Latin America's most ambitious nationwide endeavors in overhauling drug policy. President Mujica supports the bill and argued that it's needed to redirect police resources towards fighting street crime and smugglers that happen to be involved in trafficking of other types of drugs. The president of Uruguay's Cannabis Studies Association said the bill sent an encouraging sign to other Latin American nations as political leaders in parts of the region debate whether to follow Uruguay's example. John Walsh, an analyst at the Washington Office of Latin America, said this vote is destined to have a big impact with regional and even global repercussions for drug policy. Under the bill, which could become law as early as this month, people would be allowed to grow marijuana in their homes, limited to 6 plants per household, or they could form cooperatives to cultivate 99 plants, although they could only sell their harvest to the government, which would then market the drug in licensed pharmacies. Always a twist, isn't there? For those of you that are familiar with the federal issues, the Bureau of Prisons Director, Charles E. Samuels, Jr., is in charge of whether or not a compassionate release would be possible for Jerry Lee Duvall, Jr., who is one of Michigan's POWs in the marijuana battle. He's currently in federal prison. There is a petition to sign in order to support his compassionate release. The petition itself was started by a friend of ours, Carrie Boyder from Kent, Washington, who is a nationwide activist and was Jamie Lowell. Carrie Boyder was Activist of the Month, I believe,
of the year.
Activist of the Year for
Americans for Safe Access.
Exactly right. And you can certainly look for the compassionate release petition for Jerry Lee Duvall, Jr. Please find that and sign it. In the wake of November's overwhelming vote to legalize possession and use of marijuana by adults 21 and over on private property in Detroit, this year's elections have taken on a new color, green. Candidates for public office in Michigan's largest city are showing a new fearlessness about coming out in favor of marijuana law reform. A website offering a marijuana-friendly slate of candidates features the names of those running for office that have publicly taken a pro-marijuana stance. These include 2 candidates for mayor, Lisa Howes and Representative Fred Durhal, Jr. Durhal, Jr. is currently a state representative with a long history of public service and involvement in marijuana law reform. Lisa Howes is a former state representative and a certified public accountant. Of the 6 newly created council districts in Detroit, 4 have candidates appearing on this 420 slate. Former state representative and attorney George Cushenberry, Jr. is running for office in the 2nd district. Other candidates receiving the nod from the slate creator include Scott Benson in the 3rd district, Betty Cook Scott in the 4th, and Mary Waters in the 5th. Also of note, of the 7 police districts, 2 have candidates for commissioner that publicly support marijuana law reform for proper allocation of police resources to fight more serious crime. The slate was created by Richard Clement, a friend of this program and a longtime marijuana activist and Detroiter. He's a former member of the board of directors of the Michigan branch of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and more recently, he has spearheaded the effort to recall Michigan's Attorney General. One of LEAP's most powerful speakers, Jim Garrett, who will speak in Grass Lake in August. His message comes in support of local initiatives in 3 cities who propose to let their voters decide the issue of decriminalization of marijuana, following the same model used in Detroit in 2012. On July 30th, activists in Jackson and Ferndale submitted petitions containing the signatures needed to place the question on the ballots in their respective cities this November. Lansing is expected to submit their completed petitions next week. And you'll have to excuse me for just a second as I have a bit of a technical issue. It's important to note that in Michigan, the Blue Water Compassion Center acquittal is a fantastic achievement. But if you've been listening to dismissal. Excuse me, I said that incorrectly twice now. It's a dismissal, not an acquittal. But if you've been listening to the program regularly, you know that these kind of successes happen in courts all over the place all the time. They simply don't receive the type of press and attention that they deserve. I would like to call out some people that have been involved in some of those cases and have made a difference for people, including Michael Camoran, a friend of this program, John Targowski, Paul Talenda, Neil Rockhind. Many of the attorneys that you'll hear interviewed on our radio program are the ones. Yep, Dave Rudoy's in there too. Dan Groh, which I know we've mentioned quite often on this program too, protecting patients on the west side of the state. Those folks really make the news, and they make good stories happen every day. And I'd just like to close the news today with that positive thought and a congratulations to all of those law slingers out there that stand up for the little guy. And that's the news, August 1st, 2013.